One day a grasshopper was hopping along when it saw a bunch of juicy ripe berries growing on a bush. She stopped to eat them and was enjoying every bite. But then she heard a noise behind her from another bush. She looked around and saw an old donkey chewing away at some green leaves. "Hey," she called out to him. "You're eating the wrong stuff. Those berries are much better for you than those leaves." The old donkey just ignored her and continued chewing away at the leaves on his bush. "Don't be so stubborn," the grasshopper called again as she hopped over to him. "Those berries are much more nutritious than those leaves." But once again, the old donkey ignored her and continued chewing on his leaves as if he hadn't heard a word she said. "Oh well," thought the grasshopper as she hopped back to her bush with her mouth full of berries. "If he won't listen, I'll just eat these all by myself." The next day, the grasshopper was hopping along and she saw the old donkey again. He was chewing away at his leaves as usual and didn't even look up to greet her. "Good morning," said the grasshopper cheerfully. "How are those leaves working out for you?" "Oh, they're fine," replied the donkey with a mouthful of leaves. "I'm feeling just great." "Good," said the grasshopper. "That's good to hear. But I've got to tell you that I've discovered something much better than those leaves for you to eat." "Really?" the donkey said, pausing in mid-chew to look up at her. "And what might that be?" "Berries," said the grasshopper with a smile. "They're much better for you than those old, boring leaves." "Ah, I see. I've tried those berries before, but I much prefer the leaves." After those words, the old donkey went back to chewing on his leaves. The next day, the grasshopper was hopping along and she saw the old donkey chewing on his leaves as usual. This time she didn't bother trying to convince him about the goodness of the berries. Although she still couldn't believe anyone enjoys eating those boring leaves, she did learn that the donkey doesn't like the berries much. So, she just said hello and hopped right past him. She filled her mouth with berries until it was so full it could barely close. Then she hopped on by and left him there chewing on his leaves happily.